So, this is very much an overarching issue that I see often in fandom spaces, so this isn't particular to just the fandom that I'm talking about. However, this is a very recent example, and because of how large it is at the moment, I think it's like the best example to tie into some already existing issues. So of course, please bear that in mind. This is applicable to basically a lot of spaces, just in general, and it just kind of weirds me out a little bit, and this is very much similarly applicable to both mental and physical disabilities, but the characters that I'm talking about have it on the physical side. So with all that aside, let's kind of get into this. So the character that I do want to talk about is from the indie game Mouthwashing, and that is of course Captain Curly, or just Curly. And the thing about him is he is a burn victim and an amputee. At the point you play in the game, he's basically lost majority of his autonomy. He is constantly in pain. So that's kind of where we're getting at here. But that's not really what I'm here to discuss, though there is so many fascinating things about the game, and I cannot recommend people play it enough. My issues start to bubble up when I sort of see the spaces fandom-wise and some of the discussions regarding Captain Curly. So, to outline this in an easy and digestible way, I'm splitting this into 3 with Dehumanization, Infantilization, and Retribution. So, yeah. First off, we're starting with Dehumanization, and this is especially prevalent when we're talking about jokes or joke animations, art, whatever, surrounding Captain Curly. Is in many ways they dehumanize him, and it's just kind of weird to witness, because again, this is an adult man, and all that aside, one of the things that I think a lot of people pointed out was the use of Curly in that one meme format that has dog communication buttons and him tapping dog communication buttons. As a whole, this has always kind of been weird to me, seeing a character basically be whittled down to something akin to a dog, because why are we doing that in the first place? But that's one of the many, very light examples of this, where they treat him more like a pet or something below human or subhuman because he no longer looks human. And obviously this rubs me the wrong way. I'm sure it's rubbed other people the wrong way, but this has happened a lot, especially when people are making jokes about characters or making joke fan art. It's just kind of weird, and I know I've said that twice now, but again, that is a person, and the way that he's treated is horrifying, and the situation itself seems to be one of much difficulty. So for a lot of the fandom to whittle him down as a character to just being, the amputee or the disabled character, or prancing him around kind of like he's less than human because of those issues, it's bizarre. And I don't know if this is something that other people have witnessed, though I'm sure people have talked about this before. I don't know. It just kind of bugs me. Second, we're talking a little bit about infantilization, but I notice this a lot with characters who are also often headcanoned or canonically neurodivergent in any way, shape, or form. But this also happens to Curly in, again, a lot of joke fan art as a whole. And obviously children are not less than human, but a lot of societal standards kind of deem them that way. And so, similarly to Curly being treated like a dog, there's also this sort of common practice where Curly is treated like a dumb toddler. Again, very prevalent in jokes and everything. I know as many times as I'll say this, people seem to forget that this man is an adult and fully functional and still has cognitive thinking. It's just weird to see someone who's very clearly able to think for themselves be like, I don't know, whittled down to just a bunch of bare bones stuff. But again, this is not particular, especially just to this character, because there's so many instances of people with disabilities being treated as if they were children or are not able to cognitively think for themselves. And it's just common in fandom practice as a whole. As much as it is a little bit bizarre, it's still a part of fandom spaces, so there's not much I can really say on that. And the last thing, to clarify what I mean by retribution, is a lot of people treat this disability as if it was some form of punishment. And there's so many issues with seeing disability or loss of autonomy in that way as a punishment. It's weird. And I think I'll be linking a TikTok where they vocalized just exactly how I felt about that, because there was the swap AU, right, where they treated the actions that the protagonist Jimmy takes and then in turn switching roles with Curly and then becoming the amputee and the burn victim as some strange form of punishment for his actions. And that's also applicable to Curly because people see Curly's misaction in that case to be a form of punishment. And it's weird because disability is not a punishment, okay? It's just, I don't really know how to vocalize it myself because, again, I am not physically disabled, but it's just like really weird to label a disability or disabilities or getting disabled by, an explosion like that as some twisted form of karma. But to wrap it all up and everything, these types of things happen so often in fandom culture. This is not just something that is limited to Mouthwashing's fandom, but I think it's something that kind of needs to be discussed more or be spread around as a whole. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. Obviously, I don't want to speak over anyone, or if you've had similar experiences in fandom culture, I'd like to hear about it in the comments. If you disagree with me, I'd also like to hear your thoughts on this as well. So yeah, thank you for watching.